we're back for our last penultimate. No, not penultimate. What's penultimate? Last. Sorry, last ever mini series, first series. How's it been, James? You feel honoured, Chris. Good.
So you're the pinnacle.
You're the pinnacle. So, Jamie, how you been? You in a shed?
I am in a shed, and I feel like I've picked a bad day because I'm slowly sweating. Yeah, this is horrific. I'm moving house. I did reference this in a previous one where go for a house move, but the great Wi-Fi gods have not blessed the house with Wi-Fi. So I'm now at my parents' house. So you might even just see my mum potter around doing gardening at some point.
Very natural. The other person on the line you can hear is Chris Smalling. Jamie, do you want to introduce Chris and then Chris give yourself a bit of a background if no one knows who Chris Smalling is?
Yeah. So I'll say how we met. I used to work obviously at United. Chris was a player there. And how we got talking was that Chris used to wear some really bad clothes. Like, honestly,
in Jamie's opinion.
No. And if
Jamie's
you look,
world,
go back through Google, you can see some of the outfits. But if you look at his how he's evolved, but now he's just basic nice tees. He's a Sarah man, so he's learned from me the sort of good brands to wear. And then we have a casual thing where we have a little competition on the side that I tend to win regularly. I've won the last 2 seasons, so at that point we could probably spice in an image of where I'm being handed money for me winning the competition.
Which 10 years previously.
Yeah, we'll see if
he's counting. He's counting.
We'll see who gets that spliced in. So, Chris, for anyone who doesn't follow soccer or football, because we are an international vlogcast, do you want to cover who you are, your background, and kind of where you see your future?
Yeah, so my name's Chris Smalling. So yeah, I met Jamie when I was at Manchester United. So I'm born, raised in London, and then moved to sort of Kent Medway when I was sort of younger and got brought up there. And then I always dreamed of being a professional footballer, but I guess I was a late bloomer in terms of the normal scholarship. When you're 16 or 18, that's when you really decide as to whether you're going to be good enough to play for a professional club. But I never really got that opportunity. So I did my A-levels, did all of those, and then literally I was planning to go to university. And then I got 2 trials literally 3 weeks before I was about to go to uni, one at Fulham and one at Middlesbrough. So I literally went on those as nothing to lose because I was literally about to go to uni. I was, I think, about 10 days from going to Zante with all my friends. Like literally we're all going off to different universities, and I thought, look, we're going to have a big blowout and then everyone goes off to do their own thing. Literally went on these trials, literally straight after I had 2 professional offers, and then chose Fulham, and then my pathway was totally different. Did a couple of years there. Went to Manchester to meet Jamie, and did sort of maybe 9 years there, and then the last 3.5 years I've moved to Roma, and now I'm a true Roman living in Rome, playing football out here at the minute.
And it's a resurgence over there. Like you read, and it's like your career's kicked on their summit.
Smaldini is what. Yeah, there it is. He loves it.
Yeah,
we can spice an image of where the Roman fan. I've sent this to Chris. Roman fans have put Maldini's hair on Chris Smalling.
I'll give you permission. I'll give you permission to put that.
We'll use that. We'll splice that in. That's not a problem.
Luckily when I came here, it was all very last minute because I never actually planned on moving. to Rome, but literally it happened at the end of the window. And luckily I was able to hit the ground running and then really got the fans on side, and literally came on loan for sort of 7 months. COVID was in the middle of it, so it was pretty chaotic. Son being born as well, so literally the whole move was not ideal, shall we say, in terms of the timings. But yeah, 3 years later, and no, still here and enjoying it.
It's weird how things pan out with those things. Like, everyone's heard about my story and everything like that, and you just, if you keep saying yes, good things will happen, right? It just naturally occurs. Assume the good, see the good, and it'll just naturally occur.
Yeah, 100%.
So Jamie, do you want to? God, sorry, mate. Do you want to kick things off? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I thought I'd start as well, because people are going to see and think this is meant to be about tech and stuff, and think, how do you link into this, Chris? Because they'll think he's a footballer. But you have got some side hustles, is the phrase that people like to use, the youth today. So one of the things I want to ask is, how have you gone from being a footballer to being a partner in a business that looks to invest in launching and growing early stage planet-friendly business? How's that come about?
And I think it's worth also, Chris, the thought process of that as well. Everyone sees footballers, but most people like to live past 35, 40, right? In general.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
the plan.
That's the plan.
No, it is too true. I think in football, it is literally, I'm now in my 30s and I'm considered old in sport or in football. And in general, day to day, mid 30s is not. It's far from old. So I guess I went plant-based maybe 5-6 years ago, and that sort of started a little journey, shall we say, in terms of, I guess, what was good for my body in terms of recovering and strength, and obviously being football, being a better athlete, but in terms of actually how I can contribute off the pitch as well. So I guess helping link with different brands that I was interested. Obviously, I get some commercial offers, and then ultimately you could pick and choose which ones you might want to do depending on your passion, or if you believe in that brand, for example. And then I guess going back to before I was going to be a professional, I've always had a passion for business. So for example, at A-levels, I did business economics and maths, and I was going to go and do financial economics. So I was sort of following a business route in terms of, I was like a bit of a geek watching Dragon's Den when I was growing up and things, and always that sort of startup and watching. I could watch hours of it even when I was younger. So obviously then you think, I'll pick up this course when I'm playing football, but easier said than done, and you end up just focusing on football. But I'd always had this passion, and then probably 3-4 years ago, sort of certain opportunities came about where I could almost put that business pattern that I've had and almost combine it with a real passion of mine in terms of making an impact, making a difference, and almost trying to follow some of my own passions, but linking in business. So it was almost like best of both worlds. I was following different people on Twitter and Insta, some of the brands that I liked. But for example, one of them was All Plants. Another one was Peanut-X. Obviously, I'm invested both in those now. And then also there was a media agency, Rebecca, who's a co-founder of ForGood. I'd reached out to All Plants because I think I sampled some of their products, reached out to JP. I think I didn't really have a contact. I think I just went on Twitter, just messaged him, said, love what you're doing. It would be great to connect. And then I also did the same with Peanut-X because I was in London. I was in a store and there was a trainer brand, and they said, it's made out of sort of pineapple. And I was like, this is interesting. Knew nothing about it. And then literally went on their site and then literally saw an email, just cold email, just said, I love what you do. Be great to hear more. Not really expecting anything back because it was just almost like I was just interested and just sent the call. And then literally both of them replied. I was just like, wow. And then a couple of weeks later, went down to London, had a meeting with them, just chatting about their brand. And then literally after all the due diligence and chats, 9 months later, I sort of invested in both of those. And that was almost the start of my journey. And it's just sort of the numbers have gone up from there, really.
And All Plants is like the big, like when I think of, you think of like, I don't know, I can't remember the other brands that do like delivery food and stuff, but All Plants for me is one of the big players at the moment. Are they the kind of organizations where you start to think actually the impact of digital and your footprint and what you're saying and how you're doing it is really important? Because I think they're purely online, right?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think there is an element of, like you say, the footprint, etc., not having sort of brick and mortar stores, etc. But just in terms of how we are as people, everybody wants things quicker, everyone thinks fast, everyone wants things now. So I think in terms of, obviously there's the plus side of not having your actual footprint, but equally people want things yesterday. So I think in terms of that, the fact that it's online makes things so much more accessible for everybody, and ultimately will help be a big factor in terms of all startups moving forward.
100%. And if the journey's shit, we know this, Jake, like me. The journey shit, they don't even, like, one of the stats Jamie's put in a prod sheet, because he's Mr. Prep and I'm not, is 6 hours a day spent online. But all three of us would have done it. If the journey shit or the experience is shit, you just bin it off, right? Find another one.
I can give you one right now. I'm going to name them. You know, ProDirect Soccer, they become ProDirect Sport. Go on their website now. They've rebranded, and I've just stopped. I'm not going to use you anymore. It's genuinely pissed me off the other day, and I was going to reference All Plants, because I did do All Plants a while, because I messaged you about it, Chris, and probably took my feedback, and that's where you got your idea to talk to them. But their journey online is actually pretty slick. It is actually pretty slick journey, and Darren's right. If you get the fundamentals on a website right, that's half the battle, I think. Yeah,
no, I agree. And I feel like not too long ago, it was almost like a byproduct, a side thing in terms of your website, etc. Whereas now it's almost like the main element that needs to be slick, and then ultimately how users can navigate it, how you can order, etc., and actually connect with is now, I think, a key forefront of, especially a lot of the brands I speak to, and I can imagine all brands as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie, do you want to take the next one, or do you want me, or do you want to grill Chris? You want me to go? So I think the other things in terms of so the brand you've been investing in, you're now looking at ForGood is that kind of, the way I read the website is it's almost like a dragon's den for sustainable businesses to come along and say, look, we're doing something, but we now need scale. Is that fair to, like, distilling it down to stupid? Is that the way you guys are setting up at the minute?
Yeah, I would say so. I guess the essence of ForGood has been ultimately, and I guess our USP, should we say, is in terms of bringing like-minded individuals that we call change makers together, and then ultimately grouping together to then help support these brands, obviously in terms of funding, but also equally in terms of their social platform, or ever how much they want to contribute. So I guess you've got your typical VC, shall we say, and ultimately we do have very good connections in terms of, we have investment professionals investing alongside us, but equally that layer on top is ultimately we have a ForGood network of different people in different industries, and we keep in touch with the people that we bring on board. Like, for example, we'll do questionnaires and ultimately evolve and speak with them in terms of their passions. And then when certain opportunities come up, we will put it out to our network of, say, if there's 20 people in it that might be of interest, we'll then hopefully group however many people want to get involved, and then hopefully add that extra layer when we do invest, in terms of not just the money, but also the public facing people involved. So obviously certain VCs will come with different experiences and things, and that's not necessarily saying that we could bring, but ultimately we have a USP in terms of the public figures that can hopefully help certain elements of the company and just add a little edge in terms of just the money.
And it's nice that it's about that sustainability, green and things like that as well. It's really important. And I think the world's changed, right? The last, like, with the economic changes that are occurring at the minute, money was really cheap. Like, what I mean by that is access to money. If you're a VC or an investor, it was really cheap. And now, particularly in the world that I work in, and we're seeing, and Jamie's experienced this as well, people want their ROI quicker. They want that return on investment 100%. Much quicker. Or it can't just be, okay, here's the money, we'll see you in 5 years' time when we're ready to sell or float. Like, I know that doesn't occur, but there was a lot more hands off. But it feels like you guys are kind of putting a nice like wrap around that as well, so they're not left on their own and they're doing things properly, and there's the interconnect. It's almost like a VC sustainability network almost.
100%. I think that's almost grown from my own passions. Like, for example, I probably had 9 or 10 personal investments prior to even, and ForGood and building that like-minded community was on my mind, because I'd had a lot of people reach out to me, like even in the change rooms, they'll see, oh, Chris has invested in this. I'll have some questions in terms of what about that brand, or how's it going, or some of your pre. So I'd be having various conversations with different people, and ultimately I'd be surprised that they've already invested in 8 different brands, or some people just at the start of their journey just want to ask questions. And it felt like the next step to almost try to group these people and ultimately team myself up on a company with people that can also help them, in terms of, it's not just me talking to, for example, Hector Bellerin, who's one of the players, one of the early people that I spoke to, but obviously my team speaking to his finance team. So it's ultimately very professional, and ultimately another avenue for people to explore.
So
I like it,
because that's saying as well. So the importance of sustainability, especially just like on websites I work on, they people want to like talk about how they go green. Like EE I worked for briefly, they wanted to like try and put a spin on, well, we are putting up telephone masts, but this is how we do it in a eco-friendly way. You mentioned Pinatex. I had never heard of them, so I researched. I was like, Jesus, they make shoes for Nikes and stuff like that. Do you think that's one of your biggest challenges with ForGood, to get people aware of these products, but to also there's an alternative route that's more sustainable for the planet as well? Not just, oh, they are green, but actually it's going to bring something to the planet as well.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, especially when I invested in some of these brands, like I didn't even know about a lot of them until I was either introduced, or they reached out, or I randomly saw it on the back of the corner of an aisle or in a shop or whatever. But quite often it's either referrals from them direct, or something online, an advert or something. But I think that awareness is key, and that's ultimately where I wanted to help bring like-minded individuals to be able to team up and make a bigger noise. And ultimately, obviously needs to be vetted that the opportunity is there, and that's where our partners and investment professionals sort of give it the okay. But then ultimately, once we've seen that this is a great opportunity, how can we really explode that? How can we really make it go wide, and ultimately online reach and their own platforms? And that is how we're going to get the word out there. It isn't about putting up 300 stores. It's ultimately getting this product usually people's hands or in their laptops. So that is a huge part of making things a lot more accessible, and letting people know that there are other things out there.
It's like community engagement, right? It's that kind of like trying to get more people talk. You know, it happens rather than spending millions on marketing and advertising and having a big splash screen somewhere in the West End. Or those I think, and I also think those days are over. Like Jamie, we talked about it, like Aldi versus M&S. That was just two social media teams going at it, but actually the free advertising that occurred because of it, the press pick it up, and then suddenly it's a big thing. And they didn't spend millions on advertising for that.
That's just that's the
taking the piss out of each other, literally.
I guarantee that'd be the Twitter guy who has access, just sitting there writing a tweet, and then it took off. And then I guarantee you someone probably would have called him into a room, and said, you shouldn't have done that, you've taken on Mark's. And then when it blew up, oh, great job, well done. It just would have been did you see Brighton the other day where they put up that no
refund?
All sales are final, right? That's what I mean.
And have you seen the traffic spike because of that?
Exactly.
Brighton like
literally, I was just about to say, like, literally, you had, like you say, a lot of social media accounts. They're now, even club ones, they're funny. They are.
It's part of it.
They're all going at it, and I feel like you say, that's also another avenue where, like you say, Brighton's obviously a bigger club already, but there are smaller clubs that are able to be elevated and almost grow. Like obviously,
they had Burger King, didn't they? Stevenage did a great thing with Burger King a couple of years ago, and their shirts were selling out. They were the most used team on FIFA, Stevenage.
Really?
A couple of years ago, because they did like very, very clever with how they were promoting Burger King as their shirt sponsor. It was a simple ad, and then off the back of it, FIFA and their shirt sales went through the roof, absolutely through the roof.
And I think it's dovetailing the business, all the businesses you have in there in this current climate is going to be interesting to watch and see as well, like how that occurs with those footprints. Going back to the sustainability piece, I don't know if you had any more questions, Jamie, before I go into trivia or anything.
I was going to ask one, because I have to mention this to Chris because I want to know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, go on.
This is a podcast. It is a bit about like tech and breaking myths. But what is your favourite website to use, Chris, and why? This is a big one. You will be judged.
I can think of a few that I may use from time to time, but one I think that I probably use and was just literally just on is Dropbox, which is maybe not your typical that you might have thought, oh, he'll come up with that. But I think in terms of, like, obviously everyone knows Dropbox, folder, file, organization structure, it's easy. But I think in terms of especially the use of it, like even my mum, for example, she is no tech.
That's the way.
I still don't think she will use Dropbox, but I know that if she needed to, she could use.
Yeah.
And I hope the fact that you can, like, for example, I was just on my phone on Dropbox a minute ago. I can go on my laptop. I can log on Chrome or Safari, and it's exactly.
There you go.
It's exactly the same. Whereas sometimes you can go on certain sites and it's like, I'll use the app, for example, or because the website's rubbish, or vice versa. Like very rarely they're the same. So that's why I feel I can't knock it, and I will knock something, but
that's the
knock them. So far.
Good answer.
It's a good answer. Steve Jobs said, "Your nan should be able to use it."
It's the litmus test. I always say, like, if my dad can use it, I know that, like, if I do something on one of the websites I'm working on, I just quickly show him. He goes, "Yeah, just do that." I'm like, "That's it. I've done it.
I've nailed it." Yeah,
I've nailed it.
Same question to you, Jamie. Let's flip it over. Like, what's your favorite website? Like usability.
Usability. I have mentioned this one before, but it is when I said about the risk of why he did it. But ASOS with the size fitter, because I'm gangly. I am really all over the place, and I can be an extra large in something, medium, large. I go between 3 sizes, genuinely, and it's a nightmare. And to have that reassurance that 80% people wear it in a certain size, and then I know it's going to be to my fit liking, and then I don't have to worry about the ball ache of returning it because I'm lazy. Like Chris referenced, people want things now. People don't even go to those shore anymore.
No.
So that's one of them.
That is a good one.
Yeah, that is.
I should use that more because I'm a nightmare as well. T-shirts.
It is when you are like long arms
or shirts, like it's just a bit of
that what I like about that, and you have referenced it in a previous vlog, and we've talked about it, is the fact they're using their own data they've got. I think that's really cool as well.
It's risky.
I agree.
It's risky because you could put someone off buying something where they might have just gone for it. And also, the thing I mentioned before, it could have offended people. Like people, why do they want to know my weight? They're trying to make me like feel like that I'm fat or something. So I just admired it. So yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. What about you, Darren?
Mine's really boring and middle class. Mine's John Lewis because the app. I knew he was going to laugh at me. I know we are from Luton, all right. We are from Luton. Mine is John Lewis because the app and the website, it's the same regardless, and you can literally click. Everyone has given it 5 stars, so your search is like everyone's liked it. The only bugbear with that or annoyance with that is some dicks put 1 star because of the delivery or because it was late or the box was broken. I'm like, that's got nothing to do with the product you're buying, right?
That's they've literally just gone bang 1 star.
And what I want is someone to filter that out. Anyway, let's move on. I've got a trivia question about sustainability and CO2 because obviously I work in advisory tech, so we do a lot of advising, and I got a stat recently, and it's going to be like a higher or lower. So you both know what a server is, right? Hopefully, right?
Yep.
Chris is nodding good. Jamie, if you don't, then someone will be in contact. So How many servers is the same as one person getting a commercial flight, CO2 output as a commercial flight from New York to London and back, return? Not the plane itself, just one person's CO2 footprint, carbon footprint from leaving London on a commercial flight to New York and back. How many servers and how long do they need to be on for a year?
Yes, I said it. I reckon
So and this is it's either you said, I said I've got a good one for the two of you. So are you going to go high or low, Jamie?
it's not in between. I know for a fact it's not going to be like a middle ground. It's going to be crazy high or crazy low, and you look like an idiot if you say something either way. I'm going to go 1,000 servers.
1,000. It's the equivalent of 1,000 servers kicking out hot air and electricity. What do you reckon, Chris? He's googling. No, he's not googling.
He is. He's got one hand.
No, the phone's on the side. Just safe. I'm not Googling, even though I would love to. It's a good question. I have but I'm gonna go higher than Jamie.
Higher.
I don't know. Do I want to go higher? I was trying to get your.
Well, think of the CO2 of the server.
He's so competitive.
Versus one person getting on a plane and flying over to.
He's so competitive that he just wants to beat me. That he's going to do everything he can to stall to get the answer.
Right, I'll go 1,500.
50's gone a little bit. You're both miles away. It's one server.
I knew it was going to be something ridiculous. I said, didn't I? It's going to be ridiculously low. So I'm closer, though, aren't I? I'm closer. I win.
I'm not going to hear the end.
I'm not sure anyone can claim that one.
No, but how scary is that? Right? How scary is that? So this is why we have things like green ops and green IT and turning stuff off and making sure we're not using it and consolidation of footprint and stuff like that. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So yeah, there you go. One server.
Stumped us massively.
Stumped you. Right. So the fun bit, Jamie, do you want to ask this one?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, go on then. You go for it.
So this is always a segment we ask every guest. We can probably preempt the answer, but it is: have you ever been to Luton?
Flying from Luton Airport. We'll take you from London St Pancras to the terminal in as little as 32 minutes.
And then if you have, what did you think to it?
I would say, have I been to Luton? Yes, but have I been there properly? I don't think so. I mean, I've passed through in terms of, obviously we've stayed there with the national team. And
Luton who?
Yeah. And Luton is quite an accessible airport as well. So we've been in and out in terms of that and the train, etc. But have I been there, for example, on a night out? No. Have I been there really? No. So should I come? Because you two are the...
Well,
yes.
You've got to...
What's
the White House?
What's the first thing I should do if I do come?
You've got
White House.
No, you've got to come to the Kenny.
You've got your way in.
Yeah. 1902, that's been built. We've been going for years. Before we move stadiums, Chris, you have to experience Kenilworth Road. It is nothing like it.
It is great that they are getting that chance this year, and it is going to be how it is now. I think it's
phenomenal. It's just unreal. The fact that there's asbestos roofs and we can't drill into it for Sky to get their cameras in, it's just amazing.
It's genius.
So yeah, if you get a chance, I know the schedule's grueling, probably not, but if there's any games
on holiday during the take your wife and young children to Luton and say that's going to be a brief.
Well, we've not been back to England for a little while.
There you go.
We've had the little one born last month, so we haven't been travelling obviously much prior to that, and obviously at the minute. But in a few months, it would be good to head back, and I will discuss to see if.
We can finally have a competition that you keep bottling a shooting competition.
Well, we'll be a few more miles closer. Yeah, you make it happen.
My God.
Make it
I actually think we could do that.
We probably could. Very sweet. Ask for
We could record it, do like a special episode of this. Like
Special episode.
Oh,
Two middle-aged fat lads play football with a professional athlete. Yeah, that's something like Jackass.
I still think I'm saving his shots. I genuinely have faith in my abilities. I still think I'm saving more than he scores.
Oh dear. Right, last segment, and we'll for this is the final episode, last segment of what.
You know what really grinds my gears?
I think we should let the Chris go first. So what really grinds your gears, Chris? What pisses you off?
There's probably a couple of things. I would say spam emails are also one that really, especially when you sign up for something, then there's just constant emails, and ultimately, and it's almost like now I've gone totally off you. Yeah. But online ads, I think, is probably the biggest one, because it's like you see interesting things pop up and then you click on it once, and then obviously it keeps following you, or even if you're just thinking of it, it ends up popping up or something. I think it's it can be too much, or even if you're sort of watching something and there's constant adverts and stuff, it's just, or even on an app or something, it's just that really bugs me.
Annoying. And Jamie, what's your last ever one?
Impersonal emails
for this season. Impersonal, like as in high all or high et al.
No, so I can. You get one person who does this at every company, and they just don't know how to interact socially. I could be sat next to them, have chatted to them all morning about something, and then I'll get, "Hi, Jamie. How are you? I trust this email finds you well." And then the email sign off is best, not best wishes, just best. I'm like, I'm sitting next to you. Like, you could have asked me, first of all, but two, why? I don't get that. And then you still have that. And one job in particular, when this is back in my football days, I used to absolutely hammer the guy. I go back childishly with emails just saying it did not find me well, and then not reply to his question.
I was about to everyone puts that. It's very British. Like, I hope this email finds you well. Does anyone ever say, no, I've had the shits for the last 2 days? And you know.
Yeah, but it's like, again, I look at it and go, the impersonalness of it. Because if I wanted to be like, I'm trying to say, I hope you're okay. Hope you're all right. How's things your side? Just a little bit. Not. I hope. And it's the word, I trust this email finds you well. Like, trust. What's trust got to do it? I just think it's. I always say basic things in life, but I just don't get how you cannot basically understand. I'm sitting next to someone, I've seen them this morning or chatted to them at breakfast, and now I'm going to write them an email where it looks like I've never met them before. Like, it's just an odd thing.
Yeah, no, I do get that, especially if you're in the same environment and in the building as them. But equally, like you say, we're all guilty of it to an extent. I might not put the trust, but we are a little bit guilty when, like you say, we shouldn't.
No, but would you do
like that?
Dear Chris, how are you? I trust this email finds you well. And then the question, then you'll be like, I await your response. Best. But no, that's the way. That is you might do like I trust you're good, or when they do it all and you're like, just come on, man, we're chatting.
No, I agree on that.
That last night's football, and you now we're talking to me like I'm an idiot. But yeah, it sounds trivial, but people are going to see across this series, Chris, that small things tend to really wind me up quite easily.
Yeah. Oh, you're quite easily triggered. Mine's really boring, but it's when leaders and execs say things like, "I'm always available," and then they come back from holidays. You can always get hold of me, or my door is always open. That's the other one. It's not always open, is it?
It's not. You open the door and like, get the fuck out.
I bet you've had managers, Chris, that have said that as well.
Literally, they come through the building. Yeah, how are you? It's nice. Blah blah blah. You can always come talk to me. Literally, a few days later.
Yeah, I don't want to know, but that's all. And then they come back from holiday and they're like, everyone just bothered me. Well, you're either on holiday or you're not on holiday.
Exactly.
Right? It's one or the other.
I think that's a good one. I think you do yourself a disservice on that, Darren. I don't think it's boring. I think it needs to be brought out to people.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not as boring as John Lewis. You've upgraded from John Lewis, which wow. I did not expect you to say that. I didn't. That's made my day. Oh, brilliant. I think this is it, Chris. So you've closed our series off nicely.
Yeah.
I like it. Thank you for thinking of me. No, and to be the last, I feel like, yeah.
And who knows, if we do a second series, I might have escaped the shed.
Yeah.
I'm slouching by the end of this because people won't perhaps see it. I am sweating buckets because I had to shut the windows because of the noise outside. And I'm like, it's like a
got
greenhouse.
warm weather back home then.
It's like 25 degrees, Chris.
25 degrees, it's okay. And we started the whole recording the series, and the weather was terrible. We were complaining to all the guests how bad the weather's been.
Us English love to complain, whether it's hot, cold, whatever. We just can't help it.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll wrap up, and we might see some more people next series, if depending on how this lands. So, Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure. I hope you tip you over the edge, and there'll be a series 2.
Oh, thank you very much.
You'll take credit for that, by the way. You really will. You will. So thank you. But
and
take
Jamie,
care.
we'll hopefully record a few shorts potentially.
Yeah, we will.
As well. Yeah.
I've got my next baby coming in September, so
there'll be 1 a.m. recordings. Just ping me, wake me up. Not a problem. Maybe.
Let me go, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, it'll be fun. Right, thank you very much.
Right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Perfect.
Bye.